walk into a room and you can feel it before anyone speaks. The tension, the sadness, the anger someone is trying to hide. You pick it up instantly, like your body is tuned to a frequency that most people don't even know exists. And then it gets inside you. Not as an observation, as an experience. Their sadness becomes your sadness. Their anxiety becomes your anxiety. Their pain settles into your body as if it were your own. You leave the room heavier than when you arrived, and you can't explain why, because nothing happened to you. Nobody said anything hurtful. Nobody directed their pain at you. They just existed near you, and somehow that was enough. You've been told this is a gift, that you're an empath, that you feel deeply, that you're sensitive, and maybe that's all true. But nobody talks about the cost. Nobody tells you that absorbing everyone else's pain will eventually leave you with nothing left for yourself. Today we're going to talk about why you absorb what you absorb. What's actually happening when someone else's emotion takes over your body, and how to be present with people without losing yourself in the process. You didn't develop this accidentally. The ability to absorb other people's emotional states was built in you by necessity. Most people who carry this pattern grew up in environments where someone else's mood was the most important thing in the room. A parent whose anger determined whether the evening would be safe, a caregiver whose sadness filled the entire house, a household where the emotional temperature could shift without warning. And you, as a child, had one job: read the room, track the emotion, adjust. Your nervous system learned to monitor other people's internal states with extraordinary precision because it had to. If you could feel what they were feeling before they expressed it, you could prepare, you could manage, you could keep yourself safe. That's not a spiritual gift, it's a survival adaptation. Your nervous system learned that other people's emotions are your responsibility, that if you don't track them, manage them, absorb them, something bad will happen. And that wiring is still running, right now, in every conversation, in every room you enter. You're not choosing to absorb their pain. Your body is doing what it was trained to do, automatically, beneath conscious awareness. Neuroscientist Vittorio Galesi's research on mirror neurons shows that the brain partially recreates the emotional state of the person you're observing. You literally feel what they feel. But for most people, there's a filter. The emotion registers and then passes through. For you, the filter never fully developed because the environment you grew up in didn't allow it. You had to stay merged with the emotional states around you. It was how you survived. In the next part, we'll look at what this absorption is actually doing to you, because the cost goes deeper than exhaustion. The first cost is the most obvious: exhaustion. But not normal exhaustion, not the kind that comes from working hard or sleeping poorly. This is a bone-deep depletion that doesn't respond to rest because the drain isn't physical, it's psychological. You're processing two emotional realities at once, yours and theirs, and your system wasn't designed for that load. The second cost is less visible. You lose access to your own emotions. When you're constantly flooded with what other people feel, you stop being able to identify what you feel. Their sadness drowns out your sadness. Their anxiety overwrites your anxiety. You become so full of everyone else that there's no room for you. And after years of this, you genuinely don't know what you feel, because you've never had the space to find out. Someone asks how you're doing, and you have to think about it. Not because the answer is complicated, because you've been so busy tracking everyone else's emotions that you forgot to check your own. The third cost is the one nobody talks about. You attract people who need a container. Friends who always call in crisis. Partners who are emotionally volatile. Relationships where you're always the calm one, the steady one, the one who holds everything together. Not because you chose them, because they can feel that you'll carry what they can't. And they gravitate toward that, unconsciously, and you let them. Because being needed feels like being valued, and absorbing someone else's pain feels like connection. But it's not connection, it's depletion disguised as intimacy. If this is resonating with you, subscribe to the channel. we go deep into the psychology that nobody else talks about. Now let's talk about what's actually happening beneath the absorption, because there's something deeper driving this than most people ever examine. Here's the uncomfortable part. The absorption isn't just about them, it's about you. Specifically, it's about the emotions in you that you've never allowed yourself to have. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the parts of yourself you've rejected, suppressed, or denied. And he observed something that changes everything about how you understand emotional absorption. You are most reactive to people who carry the emotions you've disowned in yourself. If you were never allowed to be angry, the angry person in the room will flood you, not because their anger is uniquely powerful, but because their anger is activating your suppressed anger. And the energy it takes to keep that suppression in place is what drains you. If you were taught that neediness is shameful, the needy friend will exhaust you, not just because they're demanding, but because their neediness mirrors a need you've never let yourself have. The drain isn't only coming from them. Part of it is coming from the war happening inside you, the conflict between what someone else is expressing and what you've forbidden yourself to express. This is why the same person can drain you completely while someone else in the room feels nothing. It's not about how much emotional energy that person puts out. It's about what their energy is hitting when it reaches you. Jung would say that every person who chronically drains you is pointing toward a part of yourself that still needs your attention. Not their emotion, but yours, the one their emotion keeps touching. In the next part, we'll talk about how to be present with people without losing yourself, because the answer isn't walls, it's something much deeper. The instinct, when you realize you've been absorbing everyone's pain, is to build walls, to withdraw, to protect, to stop letting people in. But that doesn't work, because the absorption isn't coming from openness. It's coming from a lack of differentiation. The real shift isn't about shutting people out, it's about knowing where you end and they begin. That starts with learning to catch the moment of transfer. There's a specific instant when someone else's emotion crosses the line from something you're witnessing into something you're carrying. You feel it in your body, a tightening, a heaviness, a sudden shift in your internal state that wasn't there before. That's the moment. And the more you practice catching it, the more space you create between their emotion and your response. In that space, there's a question. Is this mine? Not as a theory, as a felt inquiry. You check your body. You ask, was this here before I walked in? Does this connect to my experience? Or did this arrive with them? When the answer is theirs, you let it be theirs. You don't fix it. You don't absorb it. You don't make it your responsibility. You witness it. You care about it, but you let it stay in their body, where it belongs. This feels like abandonment at first, because your entire system was built around the belief that if you don't carry it, something terrible will happen. But nothing terrible happens. They feel their emotion, you feel yours, and for the first time, you're actually present with someone instead of merged with them. That's real connection. Not the kind where you absorb everything, the kind where two separate people sit in the same room, each carrying their own weight. That's what your childhood never taught you was possible. And learning it now changes every relationship you have. Here's what I want you to understand. The emotional absorption you've experienced your entire life was never a sign that something is wrong with you. It was a sign that your nervous system learned very early to treat other people's inner world as your responsibility. That learning kept you safe once. It kept you connected to people you needed. It was intelligent. It was adaptive. But you're not in that house anymore. And the skill that once protected you is now costing you your own emotional life. You can be a person who feels deeply without being a person who carries everything. You can care about someone's pain without absorbing it. You can sit in a room full of emotion and still know which feelings are yours. That's not coldness, that's wholeness. And it's the only kind of presence that lets you stay open to the world without being consumed by it. Now I want to hear from you. Whose pain are you still carrying that was never yours to hold? Drop it in the comments. Something brought you to this video today. Pay attention to that. And when you're ready for the next layer, it's right here.